All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Miss Sandra's monthly memos. This is our newest addition to the Crew app, and every month on the second Thursday, I will be sending you a video, hopefully short, but giving you some information on something that's kind of pertained to the past month, something we've been dealing with or talking about throughout the company so that we can give you more information. I think sometimes we assume that all of you know everything, and that's great because mostly you guys really are amazing and do know everything. But I think sometimes there's just little bits of information that you might not understand about just different areas of buildings, and so that's kind of what this is about. So this month I'm going to tell you about drains. We've been dealing with a lot of stinky drains right now. And so I just want to give you a little bit of information on how drains work. And those of you who know this already, I apologize that I'm repeating information, but for those who don't, maybe this will be helpful. So every single drain has something called a trap. So if you were to look underneath where the drain comes down from the sink, there will be a curve at the bottom, and that is called a trap. And what that does is holds water, because every drain has gas, and that's because it comes from the septic system. It comes back up through. So what that trap does is it holds water so that that gas can't flow backwards through the pipe to come out of the drain. And sometimes, if it's a drain that is not used very frequently, sometimes that water in the bottom gets really gross. It gets nasty. It holds bacteria. This happens in toilets. It happens in floor drains. It happens in sink drains, everything. So sometimes that water can get really, really stinky. But what we're dealing with a lot right now is floor drains. Now, floor drains also have a trap in them. But what happens there is those floor drains are also connected to the vent pipes. And the vent pipes is where that gas escapes. And that's usually through the roof of a building. But what happens is sometimes those vent pipes catch wind, and a couple things can happen. Either one, the trap can dry out because there is no water coming down those drains and the floors. Two, that vent pipe actually will catch the wind on very windy days, or if the wind is in the right direction, and the whole system will create a suction, and it will actually suck the water out of that trap. So there's no water there, and then that gas can actually leak backwards through those drain pipes. Or that water can just get stinky because it's sitting there. So there's several different things that can be happening. And so right now we're passing around some liquid enzymes. It's a Hilliard product that we can dump down those drains. But that product is only going to work if your drain is stinking because that water is stagnant. It's old and it's musty and moldy and gross. That's the only time that is going to work. If the problem exists because the water has been sucked out or dried out, all you need to do is fill it up. So it's really a good idea in your business for all of your drains every month to dump a bucket of hot water. Cold water really works too, but sometimes I would use my mop water. Just go get a bucket of water from your mechanical room, something. But dump some water down all of your floor drains every single month. It's going to replenish the water if it's dried out. If it's getting sucked out of the pipe, it's going to replenish it. And even if it's kind of stagnant water that's getting kind of musty and gross, it's going to flush that nasty stuff through. Now, if you do that consistently and it's not taking care of the problem, then we can move to the liquid enzymes problem. If you're hearing sometimes in the winter or even in the summer when it's windy out, if you hear kind of a tick, 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 tick anywhere in your building, that's because that's the vent pipe issue. And that is something that's where your water is constantly being sucked out. And I know that happens up at Muth Corporate a lot. And so that is a good time to just put that water in maybe weekly, because that means that is sucking the water out of your trap. It's not even a nasty thing. In sink drains, I'm going to see if I don't think I can flip my camera. Does anybody know how to do that? Of course you can't tell me. I don't think I'm good enough for that. No. Okay. So in a sink drain, one thing I want you to look at, and I'm going to see if I can turn this around and get down here. Okay. So if you look in here, there's like a little X in here, and a lot of your drains have something similar to this. Now, I had an issue at a location once, and I know this has happened before, where there was some sinks that hardly ever get used. Pretty much the only thing they're used for is dumping out extra coffee, extra hot chocolate, or junk like that at the end of a day. And very rarely are they running water down this drain. What happened over time is that the creamer and the sugars from their coffee and their hot chocolate actually built up a sludge around the entire drain. And what it did is it ended up covering that whole space under there. Okay. So really take a good look at your drains if they stink or if they're not draining very well, and make sure that there's not something backed up, because dumping the liquid enzymes down that situation would not have solved my problem. I actually had to take toothpicks and scrubbers and different things and actually dig that sludge out and then flush it through the system. And that took care of my problem instantly. So really, really, really dig into your drain before we jump to a chemical, and see if we can figure out exactly why it's smelling before we go to the solution of a chemical. Not that it's bad and that liquid enzymes works great for what it's used for, but if we don't find the real problem, it's not going to help. So like in that case, once I got that down, putting some baking soda and vinegar water, actually just creating an old-fashioned volcano, really dissolved all the extra stuff that was around the drain that I couldn't scrub off with my toothpick and scrub brush. So yeah, so that's kind of my information on drains. I guess if you have more questions, go ahead and let us know. If there's anything that I did not address further, then I will do that in a follow-up. But this is the first monthly memo, so look forward to having to listen to my voice and see this beautiful face every single month.